Lesson 3.10, Patterns with Decimals. Our essential question today. How can you use addition or subtraction to describe a pattern or create a sequence with decimals? Our Common Core standard is performing operations with multiple digits whole numbers and with decimals to the hundreds. Let's unlock the problem. A state park rents canoes for guests to use at the lake. It costs $5 to rent a canoe for 1 hour, $6.75 for 2 hours, $8.50 for 3 hours, and $10.25 for 4 hours. If this pattern continues, how much should it cost Jason to rent a canoe for 7 hours? So a sequence. It's an ordered list of numbers. A term is a number in a sequence. You can find the pattern in a sequence by comparing one term to the next term. So we have a sequence here, and we have to kind of figure out what it is. So first, step 1, we're going to write the terms you know in a sequence. Then look for a pattern by finding the difference from one term in the sequence to the next. So first I'm going to write the dollar. All right. So I have $5 for 1 hour, because that's what it said here, $5 for 1 hour. Then I have 2 hours is $6.75, right, because that's what it had here. And then 3 hours for $8.50, and then I'm going to write 4 hours for $10.25. So let's compare the $5 and the $6.75. Well, the difference between these two is $1.75. So now let's compare $6.75 to $8.50. So we're going to do $8.50 compared to $6.75, and let's see what the difference is. Can't borrow from there, so I'm going to make this be 4. There we go. So I have $1. Look at that. Interesting. It's $1.75. So now if I were to compare $8.50 to $10.25, let's erase this over here. So I have $10.25, because remember you always do the larger number on the top, minus $8.50. 5 from 0 is 5. I can't take 2 from 5, so I'm going to have to borrow, but I have a 0 here. There's nothing to borrow, so now I have to borrow from the tens place. So if this is going to be a 0, this is going to be a 10. However, I have to borrow from it to make this a 12, so now this is going to be a 9. So 12 from 5 is 7, and 9 from 8 is 1. So again, I have $1.75. So, all right, so the next one says, write a rule that describes the pattern in the sequence. Well, the rule that I can write, as I saw above, is add $1.75, because they added $1.75. They had 5, added $1.75, got $6.75. Added $1.75, got $8.50. Added $1.75, got $10.25. So step 3, let's extend the sequence. So we stopped at $10.25, so if I add $1.75 to that, I'm going to get $12. And if I add $1.75 to that, I'm going to get $13.75. And if I add $1.75 to that, I'm going to get $15.50. So it should cost $15.50 to rent the race of the canoe for 7 hours, because we had to extend our pattern to get to the 7. Because we had 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, right? This would be for 5 hours, 6 hours, and that would be for 7 hours, and that's what they wanted for my question. So it says, what observation can you make about the pattern in the sequence that will help you to write the rule? The observation that I can make is that the terms are increasing by the same amount, so the rule includes addition if it's increasing and it's increasing by the same amount. Example, write a rule for the pattern in the sequence, then find the unknown terms in the sequence. So we're going to look at the terms, and we're going to try and see if we can find a pattern between them. So start on the end. 29 and 28. Let's see if we can find the relationship. 29.6 and 28.3. So let's subtract them and just see what the difference is. 6 from 3 is 3, put my decimal point. 9 from 8 is 1. So the difference between these two numbers is 1.3. So let's see if that pattern continues. The next item, or the next number, is 28.3 and 27. Remember, I line up my decimals. When it's a whole number, the decimals just kind of an imaginary one here, and I can add my 0 at the end and it won't change the problem. So I have 3 minus 0, which is 3. I have 8 from 7, which is 1, and I put my decimal. So it's still working. It's 1.3 less than the number before that. I can look 27 from 25.7. Let's do that one now. So as I'm lining them up, I want to put my 27 and then I have 25.7. Again, it's a whole number, so I can put my decimal in a 0 afterwards and it won't affect the problem. I can't take 7 from 0, so I'm going to make this be a 10, and this is going to be a 6. 6 from 5 is 1, 7 from 10 is 3. So my pattern is working. Everything is 1 less than. So if that is, in fact, my pattern, so if 1.3 less than is my pattern, I'm going to start with this number to find out what this one's going to be, and I'm going to minus 1.3. So I have 25.7 minus 1.3, and I'm going to get 4, bring down my decimal, another 4 and a 2. So this answer is going to be 2.44. I'm sorry, 24.4. So now to find the next term, again, I'm going to subtract 1.3. 4 from 3 is 1, put my decimal, 4 from 1 is 3, and bring down my 2. So the next one's going to be 23.1. Okay, and then I'm going to take that 23.1, I'm going to subtract 1.3. I get 11, I get 2, and I get 21.8. So this one's 21.8. Step 1, we're going to look at the first few terms in the sequence. In this sequence, it's increasing or decreasing from one term to the next. Well, I already did that, right? It's decreasing. We know that the operation that's used to describe a sequencing that so what operation can be used to describe a sequence that's increasing? Well, that's addition, right? Adding or addition. What operation can be used to describe a sequence that's decreasing? And that would be subtraction, right? And we already actually solved this problem already. We know that it's decreasing, right? It's decreasing, it's going down. So the rule that I can make is subtract. Okay, and the amount that I was subtracting was 1.3 because that was what the difference was between them. Explain how you know whether your rule for a sequence would involve addition or subtraction. Well, if the sequence increased from one term to the next, then the rule could involve addition. If the sequence decreased from one term to the next, the rule could involve subtraction. Let's try this. Write a rule for the sequence and then find the unknown term. So first I need to find out what the difference is between each of these terms. So let's look and see. We have 65.9. We have 65.3. Well, the difference between that is 0.6, right? So let's see if that works with these. So we have 64.1 and 63.5. Well, I can't take 5 from 1, so I'm going to have to borrow, making this be an 11 and making this one be a 3. So now I have, again, 0.6. So if the rule is, and it seems like it's decreasing, right, because the number's getting smaller. If the rule is subtract 0.6, then to find out the answer to this one, I need to take this number, 65.3, and subtract 0.6. I can't take 6 from 3, so this is going to become 13. This will be a 4. So this will be 64.7. So the answer in here is 60. Oops, sorry, you can't see that. 64.7 should be inside the blank. The next one says, write the first 4 terms of this sequence. So the rule says start at 3500ths and add 1500ths. So it's kind of like the charts that we were doing in the morning for math for today. So if I'm starting at 0.35, and each time I'm adding 0.15, right? Well, 35 plus 10 is 45, plus 5 more is going to be 50. So I'm going to write 0.50. Adding another 15, 0.65. And then adding another 15, it's going to be 0.80. Okay? Share and show. Write a rule for the sequence. So here's the first sequence. First of all, I'm going to think to myself, is the sequence increasing or decreasing? So I'm going to look. I have 5/10, 1 8/10, 3 1/10, 4 4/10. So I'm definitely seeing that the rule is increasing. So if the rule is increasing, then that means I'm adding something. So my rule is going to be add. Now I just need to find out what I'm adding. So 1.8 minus 0.5 is going to be 1.3. Okay, so my thought is it's going to be 1.3. You should do it to each of these just to make sure. You know, take 1.8 and see if the difference is still 1.3 in between these. Okay, see if it's still 1.3. And then you can make for sure that that's your rule. So as I'm looking at number 2, is it increasing or decreasing? Well, it's decreasing in number. So then that my rule is going to be subtract. And how much is it decreasing by? Well, 23.2, 22.1, 21, 19.9. So it's actually decreasing if you're subtracting them by 1.1. So let's look at the next rule. We have 31.5, 25.4, 18.9. So am I increasing or decreasing? And the answer is I'm decreasing. And when you're decreasing, that means you are subtracting, right? So let's see how much I'm decreasing by. Let's do the first two. I have 31.5 minus 25.2. 5 from 2 is 3. Bring down my decimal. I can't take the 1, so I have to make this be an 11 and that one be a 2. So my answer is 6.3. So if that is in fact the case, subtract 6.3. Then if I'm trying to find the missing number here, I'm going to take 18.9, and I'm going to subtract 6.3, and I get 6. I get 12.6. Oops, 12.6. Alright, with the next one, I need to figure out is it increasing or decreasing, and you can tell that it is increasing, which means I'm adding a number. So let's see what number I'm adding. Let's take the first two. I have 0.75, and I'm going to do my 25. Let's subtract it. I get 0 and I get 5. So it looks like it's adding 0.50. If that's the case, 0.50 to 0.75. Let's write it up here. So 0.50 added to 0.75. Get my 5, I get my 12, so I get 1.25. So my answer is adding 0.50, and that works because I know 50 plus 25 is 1.75, so it looks like that is in fact the answer. Let's look at our next rule. Is it increasing or decreasing? Well, it's definitely increasing because I'm going from 0.3 to 5.1. So I'm going to add on this one. We need to find out what the difference is. So if 1.5, remember you want to make sure you line up your decimals, minus 3, and I'm going to get 1.2. So the increase is 1.2. If that in fact is the case, then on this one I'm going to take the 1.5, and I'm going to add the 1.2, and I'm going to get 2.7, and that should be my answer in this spot. If I were to add again 1.2, I should get 3.9. So the rule is add 1.2. Let's look at the next one. 19.5 is decreasing down because 19.5 is more than 17.4. So my rule is decreasing, which means I'm subtracting. Okay, so let's find out how much I'm subtracting. 19.5 minus 18.8. I can't take 8 from 5. So I'm going to make this be a 15 and this be an 8. And I'm going to have 0.7. So I'm going to be subtracting 0.7. You want to do this in between each of them to make sure that it works. If that is the case, if 0.7 is the case, in order to find out this blank, I'm going to take 17.4 and I'm going to subtract 0.7. I can't take 7 from 4, so I'm going to make it be 14. This will be a 6. I'll have 16.7. 16.7 will be my answer there. Alright, so please do the on your own. I'll be on the carpet if you need me, and you can also work in partner groups. Good luck, guys, and have a great day.